Y'all know what? This episode should have been called The Real Housewives of Candiace in Atlanta because we got way more of Candiace than we did of Drew actually singing on stage. Okay. Drew, what was that? I mean, you was on stage for 43 seconds. Girl, I would have been like, no, now see, Candiace, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more than that. Number one, this is my show. Okay. So we're gonna have to give me a whole full song in this set, okay, or the whole a duet or something like that. But to get up on stage and for Drew to just do wop pop pop, I mean, and echo everything that Candiace said, I was like, what is this? This is not a good city winery debut for you, Drew. This is not what you think it is. And that's no disrespect to Candiace because Candiace came on the show and she did what she was supposed to do. She came in, she performed. You could tell she won't end scene with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Except for Drew. She was there to do a job, and that was to sing, and that was to promote her music. But it just seemed like to me the show opted to show so much of Candiace that it to me completely overshadowed this moment that Drew was trying to have. And that is a problem for the Real Housewives of Atlanta because out of the first 3 episodes, all 3 of them have seemingly focused on or really highlighted characters from shows that are not the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me give you examples. Episode 1, I mean, it was so heavily Martell focused. And then even the discussions afterwards in episode 2 were heavily focused on Martell as well. And now you have episode 3, wherein Candiace is showing up. You know, she's on her tour, she's doing her thing. And for whatever reason, they've chosen to really just make episode 3. It felt kind of like a very much a highlight reel for A, BravoCon, and B, Candiace, and then C, with this incident at the end between Marlo and Drew, which was intriguing to me because I was trying to figure out what it was all about. Now, we discussed that in depth in this video right here because Marlo gave us some extra tea. So we discussed that. If you haven't seen this video, go back and watch it. Trust and believe. I mean, it's just interesting to get Marlo's perspective on things. Now, I now let you guys decide for yourselves how you feel about it because that's up to you. And I gave you my perspective in that video. But for me, again, that's why I posted in the community tab last night. You know, I feel I'm a little bit shaky about this season thus far. I was fine with Martell being a little bit of the focus because I did feel like for episodes 1 and 2, because it really kind of created an interesting mix of drama for us to talk about. And I would have liked to have left that there. I would have liked for episode 3 to really get back to the basics of, you know, what's going on with the cast, like what interesting moments are happening here in their lives. Now, I do also know that we're 15 seasons in at this point. Not a lot is going to surprise us. Some things are going to kind of seem a little bit redundant as we go along because it's not like we have a whole lot of new faces to actually get to know. So, I do get that, you know, again, we're 15 seasons in. We've kind of just about seen and done it all, you know? So I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. And that's how I felt about it. And I'm going to need for the rest of the season, I'm going to need for things to flow, okay? And I need for them to flow organically because what Marlo gave us doesn't make me feel like things are happening organically. Everything feels like a prompt to me about like, hey, okay, I need y'all to talk about this. Like, I need y'all to establish what these people need to talk about before they get on the camera. Okay. What is the show notes? What's this scene going to be about? Because I need to understand where we're going with it. How does each scene that we film move the narrative forward in the story that we're producing for the season, right? So when we look at the season, for me as a producer, and I'm just a producer in my head, let me just let you guys know that, but I'm speaking into existence. I don't have no desire to be on nobody's camera. Listen, I really don't. That's just not my thing. At this point in my life, I can see myself, you know, doing a little production. You know what I'm saying? But if it don't happen, I'm fine with that too. I just continue to write my books. Mind you, let me make sure I put this down here at the bottom so you guys know where to get it. Okay. Now, with that being said, let me just kind of go back to, you know, what we were talking about. I need you guys to establish early on, hey, this is the story that we're going to tell. And we got to tell it. there was an incident at the Blaze. We need to get into it, okay? Y'all gonna have Melvin stopping by. We know who gonna be stopping by because we got the cameras, we got the mic packs for everybody, so we know who gonna be in scene. We know that. We know that. Everybody knows that. Okay, it's very unlikely that somebody just pops up and they not have had the show notes ahead of time to say this is who's gonna be in scene. So you know you're gonna have him in scene. Can we talk about this or not? Okay, that's what I want to know. Can we talk about this or not? Now, leading up to it, at the end of the day, we need to have established before Drew's performance, everybody's gonna be in scene tonight. Let me pull Marlo to the side. Let me pull Drew to the side. Let me pull Sonya to the side. I need you guys. We have to bring these topics up as much as you don't want to, but what we can't do is we can't. Um, and I hate to even say that because it's still prompting. You just honestly need naturally nosy folks. You know what I'm saying? Remember I feel like on Desperate Housewives, like you need the type of housewives that are just naturally nosy, that just naturally want some tea. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like everything feels kind of staged and like, okay, let's bring this up. Let's bring this up. I need y'all to talk about this. Actually, let me take what I said back earlier. You actually just need cast members that just know what to do, okay? That are just naturally nosy, naturally inquisitive, and don't have no qualms about it. If you really want the show to really work in the way that I feel like they're trying to make it work, you need people who are already like that. For that, and I know we went into a diatribe about the show and what I feel about it, and we're gonna get to it, but I would have to give this episode a 7. I hate to even rate it that low, and that's low for me. Usually, I give you an 8, mostly because you put some effort into making a show. But on this one, I got to give you a 7, baby, because to me, I just feel like this was not the Real Housewives of Atlanta that I was expecting this season. So anyway, let's start this thing off. We start at Chateau Sheree. The chef is back for brunch, and it's going to be brunch with Marlo, Sheree, and Sonya. They recap BravoCon, which I did think was interesting because it kind of is breaking the fourth wall because it's related to the network, which we really don't usually talk about. So that was interesting. And of course, they got to recap Mama Joyce talking about Todd. Now, listen, y'all know I love me somebody's mama. I really do, somebody's elder mama. But I got to say this. Now, it's Miss Mama. To me, I don't know if Miss Mama is making good TV or making moments, but what I do know is it's time to stop talking about Todd. It's time to stop talking about Todd. At a certain point in time, the kids gonna be able to see it. How you gonna explain that to them? You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna know what Grandma was saying about Dad. It's just like you gotta at a certain point in time, that may be how you really feel, but I do think that it's time for Candy to really lay down the law with Mama Joyce in regards to the things that she be saying about Todd, because I don't feel like he deserves any of that. I do think that, yes, he married somebody who was a mogul. Absolutely, absolutely. But is that that's his only crime? Because truth be told, she's more likely to find a man that does not meet those standards that Mama Joyce has than she is to meet a man that has those standards that Mama Joyce has. So I think, in my opinion, I feel like Todd has proven himself worthy of a man who is there for her to help her continue to build that empire and help her grow it. And I think that we should just be happy for that. And they have wonderful kids that they can come home to and that you can call grandbabies. So at that point, it's like you got to have enough respect for that man to know that, okay, you know what? That's my grandbaby's father. And I'm not going to disrespect him like that on TV. Period. We get into Sonya versus Drew at BravoCon. I mean, I don't really know what any of that's about. I mean, they just seem like they just like oil and water a little bit. But I mean, is it any surprise that they went at it at BravoCon because they had just come off the reunion and they wasn't getting along there? I don't know. The most interesting thing about this scene to me was actually none of that. It was really something that Sheree says about Martell. She recaps her conversation with Kenya about Martell, to the girls. And in her confessional, she says that she doesn't see any of the arrogance or cockiness that she sees on his show because she would not be attracted to that. And I wrote in my notes, at this big age, we are too seasoned to be dismissing red flags. Okay. So that tells me, Sheree, that you actually see that this man on his show is arrogant and cocky. And you telling me that you don't believe that he's really like that in person. So is he acting on his show? Okay, because I would be inclined to feel like he is not, unless you know something that we don't know. Now, he may, again, everybody can show you their best. They can put their best foot forward in the beginning of a relationship or in the talking stage. Yeah, because they're trying to reel you in. But you need to look at how people treat other people. Okay. Now, when you're talking about relationships, when you're talking about friendships, this is something that I look at very thoroughly now. When I'm thinking about the people in my life. And again, when I say at this big age, what I mean by that is this ain't age shaming or nothing like that. It's just that we are all at a point, and I'm not just singling out Sheree. I'm talking about us as a community, and y'all know who I'm talking about. Because I would guarantee you. I mean, people who are watching my channel, we probably about a certain age, and it may skew up and down, younger or older in just a couple of ways. But I would probably wager to think that we probably about the same median age, if not maybe a little bit younger or older. But with that being said, I feel like me saying big age, like, come on now, we old enough to know, like, when we got to look at how people treat other people, period, because that is an indication of how they may one day treat you, and it is very likely that they will treat you like that in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Quiet as it's kept, I was actually thinking the other day, yesterday, that if Melody is alleging that the man was trying to or was trying to have somebody put out a nasty tape of the two of them, maybe it's good that Sheree did not spend the night at that man's house, okay, on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Okay. So Sheree, I'm gonna need you to read the tea leaves. I'm gonna need you to look at the signs. Now, I don't know if those all I know is what Melody told us in the video. Okay. That was enough for me. That was enough for me. Sheree, gird your loins. Okay. Literally. Meanwhile, Drew and Ralph go indoor mountain climbing for a date night. Apparently, Dr. Ken, y'all know Dr. Ken, he been on all the shows, has really helped with their marriage counseling. And they discuss her moving from being a housewife to going back to work. Now, she thinks that they are the modern day, that they are like Beyonce and Jay-Z. He thinks that they are more like Ike and Tina. Now, that to me was very telling. Okay. That to me was very telling because Ike was running around telling Tina what to do and definitely mistreating her. So, do you consider yourself to be Ike? I'm just trying to figure that out. Meanwhile, the song is at 30,000 streams, for which Drew is proud of, the song that he produced for her, which you can see. I didn't even realize that on the single cover, it says produced by Ralph. I was like, that's some interesting stuff right there. You want to be just as famous as your wife. That's how it seems to me. Because most producer information is on the back, is in the credits. Y'all know how we used to get to buy the CD singles back in the day? Usually any production credits would be on the back of the CD single, not on the front. I mean, I could see if it was produced by Timbaland, but it was not. It was produced by Ralph Pittman. Listen, Ralph, we like you. Okay, well, some people do. Okay, some people don't. And that's fine because it's reality TV. I get it. But what I'm saying is this. Yeah, Drew Sidora produced by Timbaland. Put the Timbaland on there. Absolutely. Drew Sidora produced by Missy Elliott. Yes, put that on there. Drew Sidora produced by Pharrell Williams. Put that on the front. But Drew Sidora produced by Ralph Pittman. We don't need to see that on the front cover of the CD. Meanwhile, as she's celebrating that as 30,000 streams without a lot of promo, he's like, well, that's bad. But he ain't really got no time to focus on the promo because he about to go back and do his own things. Now, what those things may be, he does not say. But apparently at some point it's going to include racing to the courthouse for divorce. But nonetheless, I think it's understandable that husbands and wives have their own things that they want to accomplish, and it must be difficult to have for a man in some instances to have to always be the supporting character for his wife. But you married Drew Sidora. She was an actress beforehand. She was singing beforehand. She was circulating, in Hollywood and the like. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you married. You know what I'm saying? You got to be used to that. And when I say circulating, don't try to make it seem like I'm trying to talk about her circulating in some other type of way. I'm just saying she was moving in those circles and she was getting jobbed and getting booked. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, um, she wants to be singing at BravoCon next year, but Ralph is just happy that he was at BravoCon because the people were screaming, "Ralph, gaslight me," and he was just happy and giddy about it. Meanwhile, Kenya is going off on her graphic designer. I think I watched this on my YouTube TV, right? And YouTube TV be kind of funny sometimes because when you're watching it and the show is on, if you rewind it, it's a wrap. Okay, it's a wrap. You can't go back. So I think I fast forwarded too fast through it, and the next thing I know, Kenya is cursing out her graphic designer. I didn't even get to start the section with her, and I'm assuming that might have been where it started. If that's all she was doing, trust me, I didn't need to see no more. We learned that Kenya has a performance coming up at the Magic City Classic. She's going to do some type of collaboration with their brand for her Kenya Moore hair care line, and she's going to have Monyetta choreograph the performance. Now, Candiace shows up to a meeting with Don Juan in her poom poom shorts, okay? But because she got to go to the game after the scene done. They talk about her schedule, and it is jam packed. All right. We learned a little bit more about her and Todd's movie. She wants to be the executive producer. She doesn't want to be the star. And I'm assuming that is one of the reasons why we're going to be seeing Drew as the lead in that movie, I'm assuming. So anyway, Monyetta stops by and they recap the red carpet at the piano lesson. They talk about BravoCon and the things that Mama Joyce was saying about Todd and how she would have rather picked somebody else that had a decent job. So are you coming down, Miss Mama Joyce? Does that mean that you don't think that people who produce TV shows have have real jobs? Is that what we're saying? I mean, I don't know. Or did you want him to be some type of high-powered attorney? I don't really know. Anyway, Monyetta and Don tell her she needs to talk to Mama Joyce about it, and Candy's just like, she seems a little bit in denial about it. I mean, I guess since she doesn't really want to have this level of conversation with her mom, but at a certain point in time, it's got to be mom. Like, if you don't stop doing this, there's going to be real consequences that you have to face. So you either need to get on board with this, or you're gonna risk driving me away at a certain point in time. And I know that's her mama, and I know it's sensitive, but our parents also need to respect us and our choices as well. And I just feel like just because you are the mama or the dad doesn't give you the right to disrespect my partner, my husband, or my wife, because in doing so, you are disrespecting my choices. Okay. And for that, I will not accept it. As an adult, I feel like we can say that. And I get that's my mama, but at the end of the day, mama needs to know that she has a place, and her role in your life is simply mama at this point. It cannot be the end all be all of what is said. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that she needs to handle that. Ralph and Drew invite cousin Courtney over for dinner, and cousin Courtney, brings her ex or her baby daddy over. His name is Bryce, but we learned this was probably the other fascinating thing of the episode, is that he was a member of Groove Theory. And I was like, oh yeah, tell me what you want me to. So that was fascinating to me. Anyway, for whatever reason, when they get there, Drew suddenly has to FaceTime Candy to invite her to this perfect this is a perfect opportune moment to FaceTime Candy and stir up a little drama because Courtney's there. And when she does, she's like, oh my God, Candy, Courtney's here. Knowing good and well her and Courtney fought. Like, this is what I mean. Marlo called Drew an actress, but I'm like, girl, she's not doing that good of a job. Like, we probably need to go back and study with the scene coach, because what I need for her to do, if you're going to try to create drama, I need you to be a little bit more subtle with it. Whatever happened to the days of Lisa Vanderpump? You know what I'm saying? The folks say, now the people on the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills all make it seem like Lisa Vanderpump was so manipulative behind the scenes, and she was always stirring the pot up. But you know what, though? She was good at it if she did do it. Okay, allegedly. She was good at it. She was so good that most of the audience couldn't even believe that it was going on until about, what, 8, 9 seasons later? So what I need you to do, Drew, is I'm going to need you to get better at being a bit more natural and organic with the way that you are trying to create these moments of shade and drama, because you ain't quite got it yet. And this is what, your third season as a housewife. I'm gonna need you to step it up, okay? Step it up. Step it up, T-Boz. Because you did good as T-Boz. So I'm gonna need you to do the same thing here. Why don't you try channeling the role of a housewife? Ah. Anyway, Candiace see right through that thing, and she just like annoyed. Anyway, she ends up getting to inviting Candy to the performance. I don't know. She should have just said, "I'm inviting you to Candiace's show to see Candiace sing, and me get up on stage and do wop pop pop a little bit in the background." We see Marlo driving with her nephews to go do something. I don't know. There was not a lot that happened in the scene. Drew and Courtney had to sound check to practice with Candiace. Girl, you didn't need to practice with her. You didn't need to do that. You could have just, she could have sent you the tape of the song, okay, and just said, just say what I say. Actually, you will be playing the role of an echo, okay? Because Drew is the actress, according to Marlo and according to IMDb. So Drew, you will be playing the role of my echo, and so you just say what I say. Easy breezy. I don't really need you at sound check for that. Anyway, Monyetta, Candy, Kenya, and Sonya all arrive at the event to support Candiace. And they're followed by Marlo, and everybody barely speaks to her. I mean, they don't like this girl. So it's a shame Sheree couldn't make it. But she ain't missing much. Unless you wanted to see Candiace, then yes, she missed the concert. But in terms of trying to support Drew, she did not miss much at all. So Monyetta reveals that Marlo tried to play her in Jamaica in some way, shape, or form that I'm still not quite clear on. Courtney then arrives as well in her fedora. I hate those fedoras like that. I don't know why I hate a fedora, but I just hate a fedora. Anyway, so Candiace performs, and I wrote in my notes, this episode really feels like Candiace is like the most exciting thing going on the show. And that's bad for an episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta because she's not even on this show. So then it's time for Drew, and I'm like, okay, yes, we about to see something. She about to sing us under the table, baby. She about to sing down. Okay, she about to go off. She about to blow. She about to give us her best Aretha Franklin interpretation because you know she is an actress. And I'm thinking to myself, you should have channeled a singer. That's not fair. That's not really fair. Let me take that back. Drew can actually sing. That is the problem that I have with this whole situation. Drew can actually sing, but this was not the best way to showcase her as a singer. Like, I just feel like we should have done something different. This being Real Housewives of Atlanta, it should have been, hey, Candiace, listen, we would love to have, and if it was Candiace's idea, I think great. Even better, because that shows solidarity amongst the housewives sisters. But if I was production, I would have been like, listen, this is going to be the perfect opportunity to really showcase Drew. And would it not be amazing to have Drew as the opening act at your performance? And that way, we could have gotten Drew and Ralph up on the stage doing their best Ike and Tina interpretation, because you know he said he see them as Ike and Tina, okay? And so he said it, not me. So they could have done their best Ike and Tina interpretation. They could have performed Proud Mary, and we all could have been rolling on the river. Instead, what we get is Drew in her role of an echo, basically chirping the words that Candiace is saying in her song. Period. That's all we got. Anyway, everybody's looking like, this is what we got dressed for. Good thing Candiace can put on the show. Okay. So anyway, Drew is on a high. She did it, y'all. She did that. And honestly, again, like I said, we got way more Candiace. And hey, Chris is in the episode as well. which made me think, I wonder what it would be like to have Candiace move from Potomac to Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, that might create some very intriguing drama, but unfortunately, we didn't get any of that. So the ladies go to the back for the obligatory Ponderosa because you know it can't be an all cast event without the all cast scene. So Kenya, it was like, well, why, Drew, was you only doing doo wop pop pop? We wanted to see way more of you. So Sonya then brings up the idea that, you know, they had issues at BravoCon, and ultimately this issue is resolved because Drew feels like, you know, Sonya showing up to her concert was an effort made in solidarity, you know, to try to support her. So they end up brushing past their issues. The next thing that is brought up is Candy wanted to know why Courtney said to Sonya about her being ghetto from last episode. So Courtney starts screaming, "Well, you know, I'm from the hood. My family's from the hood. You know, I'm not talking about you from the hood. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay." And so Candy starts screaming about she bring the people out. You talking about the people from the ghetto. I mean, it really to me didn't mean much. That's the thing. Courtney and Candy arguing doesn't mean much. Candy and Marlo arguing doesn't mean much. Candy and Sheree arguing means much. Candy and Kenya arguing would mean much. Even Candy and Drew arguing would mean much more than Candy and Courtney arguing because we don't care about Courtney enough like that. She too new. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's kind of like, I get it. You know, you kind of you new on the show, you come for the big dogs. I get it. But it would be different if you knew on the show, okay? It would be different if Monyetta and Candy had an issue. Now that is much more intriguing, but ain't no issue there. And I don't know Courtney well enough to care yet. So, Sonya then orchestrates Monyetta versus Marlo, which I still don't quite understand. It's Marlo said something in Jamaica about, you know, Monyetta finally having the courage to speak up for herself. It's a non-issue to me, to be honest with you. So then I think that Monyetta was more upset because Candy was upset with her for the things that Monyetta and Marlo conversed about. That's the issue, which I felt like that should have been handled as more of an issue. Had that been handled as more of an issue between Monyetta and Candy, I think that would have been more interesting. We got a piece of it with Candy saying it a little bit, but it don't really go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? In the context of the conversation that they did have. So finally, we get according to Marlo, the producer prompted elephant in the room conversation about whether or not something happened at Blaze. And so Drew, apparently, per Marlo, per Marlo's admission in this video, basically was the only person who had the cojones enough to confront Candy about what happened at the Blaze. And she's like, you know, I mean, I was just there 2 days ago, and you know, something happened. Oh, it was an incident. But girl, can you tell me what happened at the incident at the Blaze? Because I don't really want to do this. And so Marlo's like, you mean the pow pow? So Candy, again, if all of this was prompted by production, as Marlo states, allegedly, let me put the alleged badge up here, then Candy's already clued in to what this is all about. So it's kind of like you can't have this. It's not going. It's none of it's playing well right now. And ultimately, Marlo threatens to get up and leave because Candy not gonna talk about it. And Candy brings up, well, what about you doing something to the girl's face? Okay. And so Marlo's like, people always bringing this up or whatever about me, but they don't want to talk about their own stuff. At the end of the day, I mean, the conversation fizzles out. But then we get 30 minutes later on the producer cam, and Marlo and Drew are having a conversation about Drew making a moment with Candy and then being too afraid to say that there was some pow pow going on, and instead calling it an incident. Now, it was unclear to me why Marlo was annoyed by that until I saw her live, okay, in which she explained it to us. But at the end of the day, I just kind of feel like I don't understand now why she's all of a sudden going slam crazy on Drew. Because Marlo is screaming about, she too lost her nephew. Because Drew was like, well, it's a sensitive topic, I've experienced stuff like that before. So for me, it was sensitive. And Marlo's like, well, it was sensitive for me too. I lost somebody. And so Drew is like, at that point in time, trying to leave because there's nothing else to be said. And Marlo starts screaming about she lost her nephew. She lost her nephew. She lost her nephew, B. And I was like, the moment didn't call for that. It didn't really call for all of that. And it just felt like, why are you doing all this when the person that you got an issue with is Candy? And I say this to say it would have been so much more organic if Marlo had said, listen, girl, here's the thing. You had this incident happen. It's brought up memories of me and what happened to my nephew. And I feel like when it happened to my nephew, you ain't really say much about it. And I just feel like, that's what my issue with you is right now. Like, we got real things going on, and you're not willing to talk about it. If that was her issue. But again, this happened 2 years ago. So I'm not saying that Marlo shouldn't feel nothing about it, but what I am saying is address the person that you got the issue with about it. So go scream at Candy. But screaming at Drew is having the time of her life. She sang for 43 seconds at the City Winery on the camera. She played an echo. Leave her alone. Okay? Leave her alone. This is her night. So, yeah, I mean, that's what happened in this episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm a little bit frustrated because, again, I felt like there was an over-reliance on outside factors to make the episode pop. And I just felt like, this is Atlanta. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on now. Like, the people on the show have been around long enough to understand how to make this thing work. And if they're not willing to do it in the way that you feel like they should, then that's a producer cast problem. But that's not the way to fix it. Ain't to bring in all these extra people from other shows. I don't think that is the way to go. So let me know what you guys think. I think that I've tried to work in some ways that could have made this a lot better. And I think it would have been more entertaining to watch Drew and Ralph try to put together a live show for an opening act for Candiace than for her to go on and play an echo. What y'all think? That's what I think. Wouldn't it have been nice to see Candy in this episode confronting Mama Joyce after the BravoCon? Because we saw the BravoCon. That could have been a flashback. I mean, and we could have seen Candy sitting down with Mama Joyce, and it may come. I'm sure enough it may come. But I think that would have made this episode better. It would have given it more meat, right? So anyway, that's just my thoughts. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Order my new book on Amazon.com. I am so close to finishing this next book. I'm super excited about it. So I really hope that you enjoyed book number 1, and then leave us a review if you did. With that being said, I will catch you all in the next video.